So there's been reports around Jaron Ennis ducking a Tim Tszyu fight, and instead deciding to make his debut at 154 against Lima, where he could have shot a bit higher and fought a Tim Tszyu who's very much still a top sort of contender. Right, his only losses have been to guys at world level. He's not lost to like scrubs. I mean, Murtazalayev was a nobody, but he's not a scrub, right? And Tim Tszyu, in my opinion, at this point is a touch slower, is more susceptible to being stopped as well, and stylistically is a very good matchup for Jaron Ennis, which is why I struggled to think he ducked him, because I think it's a fight that Jaron Ennis could easily win. But it is strange to me that he went the route of Lima, because a Tim Tszyu is a fight that's winnable, and Tim Tszyu is a much bigger name than Lima, whereas pretty much nobody's even heard of Lima before this fight against Jaron Ennis, but a lot of people know about Tim Tszyu and know that, yeah, maybe he's not a world champion anymore at 154, but he's a former world champion. I think Lima is a former world champion as well, but like IBO, like not really even a proper world championship, whereas Tim Tszyu was a proper former world champion at 154, and at a time people were considering him as potentially one of the best 154s fighters in the world, right? He's past that now. I think he's slower. I think he's more susceptible. More than anything, he's more susceptible to be stopped, particularly by a big puncher like Jaron Ennis, who is truly a big puncher. And I think even though he's moving up to 154, I think he's going to have a lot of power. But it does sort of ask those questions, because you're thinking, like I said, this is an easy fight for you to win. Stylistically, it makes sense. Why don't you just fight him? So I think maybe Eddie from Matchroom and Jaron Ennis have got those questions to answer, because the questions are there now, right? Because, you know, why not fight Tim Tszyu? You know, did you duck him? I don't think he did. And also there is the counterpoint that Jaron Ennis is still, you know, young in his career and could still fight Tim Tszyu. He could fight Tim Tszyu next. But it feels like a lot of the boxing media and boxing fan base really want to rush Jaron Ennis. Even Eddie Hearn seems to want to rush Jaron Ennis, because Eddie Hearn's already talking about Jaron Ennis as a guy who's basically the uncrowned champ at 154, could go to 160 and become world champion as well. I agree, but you have to do it. You have to actually do it. And Eddie Hearn feels like he wants to just speed run him. So it's like, okay, Lima fight, then let's try and get the Fundora fight. Let's try and get the Ortiz fight. Let's try and get the Murtazalayev fight. When there's still guys that you could fight a Tim Tszyu. You could fight a Tim Tszyu, see how Fundora v Thurman pans out. I think Fundora will win that. Then fight Fundora. Or even Virgil Ortiz. I don't believe he's got a fight yet. So that Virgil Ortiz fight could be next, and that would be truly, in my opinion, probably the two best 154-pound fighters in the world fighting each other. And then if he beats Virgil Ortiz, which I think it would be his hardest fight, undoubtedly would be his hardest fight. If he can beat Virgil Ortiz, then he can fight Fundora, unify the division. Oh, well, he could even fight Murtazalayev, but Murtazalayev is tough because he's not a big name. He's high risk. I think Jaron Ennis is a far good enough boxer to beat Murtazalayev, that being said. But I can understand the risk in not wanting to fight Murtazalayev. But if Eddie Hearn's talking the way he's talking about Jaron Ennis, then there's no reason why he can't fight all of these guys and beat all of them and unify 154, become undisputed at 154, move up to 160 and do the same there. And as long as Crawford stays out of 160, then, again, like Eddie Hearn's saying, I could see him beating Alara. I'd easily see him beating Alara, easily see him beating an Adames. Could he be a Jenny Beck? That's the question that everyone's going to have. And by which point, that would be a huge fight. Ennis v Janibek would be a huge fight. So we'll see. I don't think Jaron Ennis is ducking Tim Tszyu per se. Probably a business decision was made. But arguably maybe the wrong business decision, because Tim Tszyu is, like I said, winnable and a much bigger name. So yeah, I'd be curious to know what you guys think of this. Well, think of this potential report. Do you think Jaron Ennis ducked Tim Tszyu? Or do you think it was just a decision and maybe they'll fight down the line? Yeah, I'd be curious to know what you guys think in the comments below. And yeah, another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.